Morning, Starlight.
I still can't believe you're letting me stay here as your pupil after everything I did.
So, is the main 7 now a thing, I guess? Huh. Be careful what you wish for, indeed.
Alright?
Never better. Being a father is amazing and wonderful and amazing and confusing and amazing, but surprising too, you know? I mean, not that you'd know. You wouldn't know, I know. You know?
The birth of an alicorn is something Equestria has never seen.
It is beyond even our understanding.
That's not very reassuring.
So, we're not going to address how or why this is even possible. We're just going to accept the fact that the baby's an alicorn because alicorn.
What have you been up to?
Me? Oh, you know, some of this, some of that, different stuff.
Well, it's not like a long time ago I was some sort of cutie mark hating, equality loving villain. That's no big deal, right?
I'm guessing that's gonna make it hard to do the crystalline.
It's worse than that. Without the heart, the Crystal Empire's about to be buried under a mountain of ice and snow.
Congratulations, Canes and Shiny Umber. Your newborn child just doomed the entire Crystal Empire to eternal damnation. Cue happy freaking credits. The fuck?
Look, I am 100% sure the crystalling isn't happening.
No crystalling, huh? Then why are they starting a fireworks show?
Man, is it just me, or are the Crystal Ponies acting dumber than usual?
Sunburst, I don't care if you're a wizard or not, I'm just surprised. You always knew so much about magic. I mean, look at all these books.
Yeah, well, reading about magic is one thing, but you don't know what it was like at magic school. To know so much and not be able to do any of it.
Well, you don't know what it was like to be left behind. And then getting so bitter that you steal the cutie marks from an entire village, and then get defeated by Twilight and her friends. So you travel through time to get back at them, but they beat you again and teach you about friendship, but you're so terrified ponies will find out what you did that you can't make any friends!
Did you really travel through time?
Wow. Sunburst took that rather well. Not sure if impressed or disappointed. Wow, they're both being useful for once. That's something you don't see every day. No, wait. Every pony's being useful for once? Did hell freeze over or something?
Fire toys!
You would not believe the crazy weather that delayed our train. Came out of nowhere.
But it was all worth it to see this peaceful little angel.
Well, it's about time they got a speaking role. So, who voices them again? Ah, son of a... Compared to other season openers we've seen so far, the Crystalling is a pretty unusual sort of two-parter. While it's not a bad or boring two-parter, the familiar epic scale feel of most franchise Magic two-parters that fans tend to expect from these is strangely lacking here, even though there are still some interesting and important things going on. It's not so much along the lines of been there or done that, but the stakes just aren't quite as high this time around, which can be refreshing for some, but confusing for others. First off, even though I don't find her an unwelcome addition to the show's supporting cast, Flurry Heart's first outing wasn't really that impressive or clever. All she really does is look cute, fly around, and shoot magic beams out of her horn, and spends most of her time causing accidents and problems that the other characters have to fix themselves, while simultaneously ending up as the solution to everyone's problems. Because magic? Plus, it's also somewhat disappointing that the premiere barely spent any time talking about Flurry's status as an alicorn. We don't know how her birth was possible, or why she was born an alicorn, but the only thing we really learn is that she's the first natural-born alicorn in goodness knows how long, and that everyone else considers her birth to be somewhat unexpected and highly unusual. But I suppose future appearances of her could make her presence somewhat more tolerable, as long as the show doesn't spend time and effort having her show up just to cause problems that the other characters have to spend entire episodes managing or fixing them. Also, it's not really too late to start talking about alicorns for once, but I do hope we learn something about them this season, because now will be the perfect time to finally do so in light of Flurry Heart's addition to the show's supporting cast. But Flurry isn't the only thing that's given me a bit of the stink eye. Pacing and delivery at exposition is also pretty iffy, coming off as either awkward or mildly irritating at times. The worst of it has to be the first 7 or so minutes of the premiere, where hardly much happens besides characters having lengthy conversations about things we already know about, or repeating information that we just learned not only a couple minutes ago. It just felt like it was taking too long for things to get started, and hardly much even happens until the main six, Spike and Starlight, finally arrive at the Crystal Empire to meet up with everyone else there. And even though a good chunk of the premiere was dedicated to the reunion of Starlight and Sunburst, I still thought the reunion itself could have packed more of an emotional punch and left a stronger impression on the audience. Perhaps a bit more tension between the two leading up to the point where they reconcile with each other would have been enough to give the reunion the oomph it needed. That said, I am curious enough in seeing these two meeting up every now and then to interact with and spend some time with each other, but I still thought that their reunion in this two-parter wasn't that powerful or impactful enough. Alright, I think I've harped on enough about the stuff I wasn't so keen on with the Season 6 premiere, so here's what I found to be decent or pretty good overall. What was a bit of a surprise was that everyone was pretty proactive in this two-parter, and all had something to contribute without acting as mere bystanders just to witness what was going on. Even Princess Celestia managed to show some actual competence and was useful for once. Another genuine surprise that I greatly appreciated was that the premiere also had some great performances coming from the likes of Spike, Shining Armor, and newcomer Sunburst himself. Spike totally nailed it, being both a clever yet earnest voice of reason for Starlight, doing all he can to help her out and providing all the moral support he can muster to see that her reunion with Sunburst goes well, and ends up developing a pretty unique relationship with Starlight as a result of their unlikely friendship. Shining Armor was a freaking riot in this two-parter, and it's also really great to see that he's taking responsibilities as a leader and a new father seriously in the midst of all his hilariously dorky freakouts. While his leadership abilities have been put into question before, here he shows that he's still capable of leading others and trying to do his very best to take charge of the situation. But in the end, it's also nice to know he's not really so above it all. And lastly, Sunburst's introduction went off better than I expected. What's really interesting about him, aside from his affable personality, is how he's not really magically gifted, but his knowledge of magic itself makes him well suited for solving problems, even though he's not really the type that would fix the problems himself. As unexpected as he was, I'm actually kinda eager and hoping for more Sunburst appearances, because I see promise in this character. But hey, there's also Starlight's involvement in the premiere, and I thought she was pretty okay overall. While I'm still somewhat miffed and iffy about the whole reformation thing she's going through, it's still nice to see that she's taking things seriously and also seems pretty committed to the cause as well. Thing is, I still think Starlight still has a lot to prove so far, even after this premiere. I'm still not completely sold on her change of heart so far, but it's thankfully not as impossible as I assumed originally. Heck, who knows what will happen to Starlight later on in the season? Anything could happen at this point. Long story short, I'm pretty mixed on the season opener, but I really don't have any strong feelings one way or the other. Here's to the rest of Season 6, and hopefully whoever does come next is indeed worth talking about.